Hey, thanks to those of you who are typing in the chat. It's great to see where everyone is coming from. Um, Seems just in the first few people that have commented, we've got quite a lot of diversity in terms of range of backgrounds. Some are from American Water. Welcome, Gloria. Welcome, Angelina. Your current master's degree sounds really interesting. Um, Welcome, Sean. Currently working at Wells Fargo. Welcome, Jingyang. Majoring in environmental studies. Wonderful. So feel free to continue to add into the chat. Welcome to those of you who are currently posting in there. And I like to start this information session by doing this because one thing that I think is a real strength of our MES program is the wide range of backgrounds and interests in the students that are part of our program. And I wanted to illustrate that right off the bat by having you all comment in the chat, and you can see if you look through the chat that the wide range of backgrounds that people are coming to this program from. Some people coming straight from that undergrad. See someone there, welcome Austin, coming with 10 years of professional experience and everything in between. Interests in different aspects of our program and where you might go beyond that. So feel free to continue posting and kind of looking in the chat. I'm going to get started on the more formal presentation side of today's webinar. I will say that as we go through the webinar, if you have questions, you can post those questions in the chat. And I'll try and do my best to kind of monitor them as we go through, or Akila might alert me if there are some in there, but we'll have plenty of time at the end for questions as well. So feel free to post as we go through. And I'll definitely leave some time at the end for questions as well. So welcome to everyone. So the MES program is almost 30 years old. It'll be 30 years old next year. So if you do join us next fall, you'll be joining us some of our 30-year celebrations. And so here we've had almost 30 years of that excellence in environmental education. And this has produced a very strong alumni network, which many of our students comment on as a real strength of our program and something they really appreciate about being part of the MES program. I know it's helped a lot of students in terms of securing internships and employment beyond the MES degree. So we are here on Penn's campus in Philadelphia, and we are housed in the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences, and that is in the building that you see pictured here on this slide. It's called Hayden Hall, over on the part of campus near a lot of the sports facilities. And so that's our academic home, the Department of Earth and Environmental Science. And our administrative home is the College of Liberal and Professional Studies, because we are a professional degree program. And so if you apply to our program, or if you've already kind of shown interest, understandably by signing up for this webinar, you will have received some communications from the College of Liberal and Professional Studies, or LPS as it is known. So that's where we sit at Penn. We currently have about 180 students within the program, a mixture of full-time and part-time students. I would say most of our students are full-time, but probably about 10 to 15% of our current students are working through the program part-time. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have a very diverse student body. Students come to us from all over the world. At the moment, more than half of our cohort are international students, which is fantastic. And even those that are domestic come to us from all over the US. As you're seeing from the chat, people come from a wide range of backgrounds, both in terms of their previous academic interests, maybe their professional experience, and the age at which they're coming to our program. We have a lot of people that do come to us straight from undergrad, but we have a lot of students who work for a while and then come into our program. With the exception of our introductory required courses, which I'll talk about a little bit later, most of our classes average about 18 to 20 students. Some of the most popular classes will go up to 25, maybe a maximum of 30 students, but we try and keep most classes around that 18 to 20 number. I see there's a question in the chat about on-campus tours for the program. We do have a open house that we run at the end of the spring semester, so typically around May time each year. So that is after the application deadline. So you would have applied beforehand, but if you have applied to our program and been accepted, then we do have an open house for any students that we have made an offer to. If, however, you wanted to come to campus before that, understandably, maybe before applying, we don't have any official tours before that date, but we do welcome students to visit at any time. You can send us an email. I've got our contact details towards the end of this presentation here. Um, and there's always one of our team in the office here in Hayden Hall, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And so as long as we have a little bit of notice that you're coming, then we can definitely give you a tour of our building and the part of campus around where we are here. So formal open house in May. If you do want to come beforehand, feel free to reach out to one of us. And so that nicely actually leads me on to introducing you to our staff. So there's a team of three of us that run the program from an administrative perspective. So I'm the program director, Eric is our administrative director, and he works with Ross, our administrative coordinator. And so one or all three of us are always in the office, as I said, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And so we do welcome visits, especially if you're in the area. Just send us an email and let us know. In addition to the three of us who, as I said, run the program sort of from an administrative perspective, we also have a stellar team of academic advisors. So within the MES program, when you join the program, you are assigned to one of these 5 academic advisors or to myself. And your academic advisor will guide you through the program. So they will meet with you at least once a semester, more frequently if needed, to talk about classes you might be interested in taking, to help you think about how you plan your degree towards achieving your academic and professional goals. They might help you think about internship opportunities or where to be applying for jobs after the degree, and so much more. I'm not going to talk about each of them individually now, just for the sake of time, but their backgrounds are very wide-ranging as well, and we do try and pair you with an advisor that has some experience in the field that you are interested in. And so I've mentioned already that we are a professional program in the College of Liberal and Professional Studies here at Penn. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that our goal is to provide you with the skills and knowledge that you need to get into the workplace in your desired profession. It also means that we really focus on professional development opportunities throughout the program. And I'm going to talk more about those a little later in this presentation. It also means that we focus on fostering connections with industry professionals, with experienced practitioners throughout the program. These images on the slide here are images of some of our course instructors and capstone project advisors. And I put those up there to illustrate the range of people that you may be taught by in this program, and not everyone who teaches in our program is pictured here. I can put them all onto this slide. But from day one in the classroom, you are meeting these industry professionals, these experienced practitioners. And in addition to that time in the classroom, we try to provide a number of other opportunities throughout the year for you to connect with folks like that who will be able to help you alongside what we are providing with your professional goals. With that said, we do have a small number of students each year that do go on to a PhD in an academic career, but that's not our primary student base. Most of our students are interested in going out into the workplace, or as some of you have illustrated there by introducing yourselves in the chat, are already in that professional working space and looking to maybe make a shift in career or achieve a promotion or something. So that's our goal here as a professional program. And as we go through the rest of this presentation, I'll highlight some ways in which we try and support that. So why might you want to study environmental studies here at Penn in Philadelphia? First, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities available to you on campus outside of our program. There are a number of environmental centres and organisations here at Penn. And I'm just going to mention a few of those here. First is the Water Centre. This is a centre on Penn's campus that focus on resilience, sustainability, equity of water systems, and they do a lot of very applied and collaborative research, particularly in the Philadelphia area. A number of our students have worked with them either through internships or on their capstone project, and they hold a number of events throughout the year on campus and opportunities to volunteer with some of their projects in the local area. As a university, Penn also has a very active sustainability office that run a wide range of campus initiatives throughout the year in order to work together for the sustainable future of the university campus. One of our recent grads actually works for the Penn Sustainability Office, and again, many of our students have interned with them, worked with them on capstone projects or class projects. A few years ago, Penn set up the Environmental Innovations Initiative, and this initiative was designed to bring together people across Penn's campus who were working on different environmental initiatives. And so it's designed to bring together maybe academics in different schools and different departments who were working on environmental issues. Again, they run a number of events throughout the year on campus. They have opportunities to work with them. For example, they run Climate Week here on campus, and a lot of our students get involved in that with them. And again, two of our MES students are actually involved in working for that centre. The Climate Centre for Energy Policy is part of the School of Design here at Penn. And they run a whole host of events, initiatives, and conduct a wide range of research projects related to energy policy. Energy policy is a really growing interest within our program. We've added additional classes in recent years on this topic, and there are also a number of classes taught through the centre that, as students in the MES program, you are able to take. Again, many of our students have worked with them as research fellows. Some of our students have done their capstone projects with advisors from the Climate Centre, and so we have a great relationship with them, and they are very close to our building here on campus as well. And unsurprisingly, they run Energy Week here at Penn. There's also the Centre for Science, Sustainability and the Media, which is headed up by Dr. Michael Mann, who is a professor in the Department of Earth and Environmental Science here, as well as being the Vice Provost for climate here at Penn. They run, again, a number of events throughout the year. There are some courses that Michael Mann and others teach. We often have a few of our students doing their capstone research projects with this group here. The executive director of this centre is a former MES grad, and she worked for our programme for a while. So again, lots of great connections with that group and opportunities for you to get involved. And there are many other groups I could go into right now, particularly student-led groups. Wharton has its own ESG initiative, that's the business school here at Penn. And so do take the time to kind of look through Penn's website and explore some of these opportunities. But all that to say, outside of what you are learning in your classes here in our program, there are many opportunities to engage with innovative environmental work that's happening here on campus. And then just to broaden our scope a little bit and think about the city of Philadelphia, in addition to all those connections on campus, we are deeply embedded in the city itself. And we have working relationships with the City Office of Sustainability, the Water Department, the local EPA region headquarters, various conservation trusts and research centres in the area, the Sustainable Business Network of Philadelphia, and recently have developed new connections with the Philadelphia School District. And many people from these organizations around Philadelphia teach in our program. We also have students that go and intern in each of these organizations each year, maybe some who do their capstone project advised by someone in these offices. And we also try and get people from these offices into different events that we're running. So they might come and give a guest lecture in our introductory course. They might come to our upcoming professional development day. Some of our alumni who work in these groups here will come back for our alumni day and things like that. So as I said, in addition to the program, we have these connections both on and off campus in order to provide you with professional experience in a variety of spaces as they might fit with your goals. So let's think a little bit then about the MES degree itself. Um, the MES degree is a multidisciplinary approach to the study of the environment. I'll talk about how the degree breaks down in just a moment. But we want you to think about the area of environmental studies that you are interested in from different perspectives. Um, and as part of that, we then ask that you choose a concentration that allows you to tailor the program to your professional goals. Those concentrations are listed on our website, but include environmental biology, sustainability, policy, urban environments, resource management, and resilience and adaptation. And there is also the option to do an individualized concentration. It's not very common, but we can work with students if that's something you would like to do. And as I've mentioned before, the degree focuses on professional skills throughout. I'll talk in a moment about some of the professional development opportunities that we offer, but within the degree itself, within our required and elective courses, we ask our instructors to focus on developing communication, teamwork, and data analytics skills. And when we speak to our industry partners and we meet with our advisory board, these are the skills that they tell us over and over again they are looking for in employees. When people are applying for a job with them, whatever that job might be within the environmental sustainability space, these three skills frequently come out as the top skills that they are looking for, in addition to the subject matter expertise. And so we really try and bring those into all of our classes. So how does that degree break down? Well, to complete the MES degree, you need 12 courses or 12 course units and a capstone project. Those 12 courses include two required courses. These are our introductory course pro seminar, which introduces you to a wide range of environmental issues, the science behind some of those issues, the data behind some of those issues, and the innovative approaches being used to address them. In addition to the instructor for that class, you will also learn from other real-world experts and practitioners through guest lectures, and you will participate in a local project with your peers in that class. And that might be working with one of those on-campus organisations that I mentioned earlier, or sometimes working with some off-campus organisations too. And so everybody takes that class in their first semester in the programme. It's our required introduction. The other required course is a capstone course. So to complete the MES degree, you have to complete a capstone research project. There are a number of different approaches to this project. It could be a traditional research paper. We've had students who produce a product for it. We had someone produce a video game this past year and write a report based on that. We've had people write books. Some people produce white papers who are focused more on policy. So there's a variety of approaches to the project. But everyone takes a course in order to prepare their project proposal. So this course helps you develop your research ideas, it helps you develop your research skills, and it helps you write your capstone proposal. So by the time you finish this course, you have a complete and approved project proposal, and then you can get started on your capstone research. So if you're full-time in the program, you would take pro seminar in your first semester and the capstone course in your second semester, leaving you the second year of the program to work on that research project. And of course, if you're part-time, then those timelines get expanded a bit. We also require that everyone take a data analytics course. Now, there are a wide variety of courses that fulfill this requirement, and so you can hopefully find a course that fulfills this requirement and relates to your interest in environmental studies. But everyone has to take a data analytics course as part of the degree. Again, thinking back to what we're hearing from industry professionals about that being such an essential skill in employees. And then the other 9 courses in our program are made up of 4 foundation and 5 concentration courses. As I mentioned before, everyone has to choose a concentration in the program. And I mentioned the 6 different plus the individualized concentration you could choose from. And so we want you to take courses within that concentration. I'll mention those in a moment. But we also want you to take courses outside of that concentration. Okay, you are working towards a degree in environmental studies. And so we want to see you develop a strong and broad foundation in environmental studies. And so you are required to take 4 courses within our department that are outside of your concentration. So let's say you're a policy student. We want to see you take a course maybe in sustainability or environmental biology or urban environments to demonstrate that strong foundation in the environmental studies. And then you take the other 5 courses within your chosen concentration. And this is where you can take courses both within and outside of our program and take advantage of the wide range of academic expertise at Penn. So this might be where you take a course in the law school, the business school, the design school, etc., in order to work towards your concentration and complement the rest of your MES degree. And everyone is assigned an academic advisor when you come into the program, and they will help you navigate this degree planning. They will help you choose appropriate foundation and concentration courses. And then in addition to these classes, you complete the capstone research project. I see in the chat a question about the average length of time it takes a part-time student to complete the degree. Anywhere between 3 and 4 years, I would say. So we ask that part-time students aim to complete the degree within 4 years. Very occasionally we have had students go beyond the 4 years due to exceptional circumstances, and we can work with you to make that happen. But most part-time students complete the degree between 3 and 4 years. We do offer summer classes, so you can take classes both in the fall, spring, and the summer semesters if you choose to. And part-time means taking 1 or 2 courses at a time, and full-time is taking 3 or 4 classes at a time. And so alongside the MES degree itself, we do have dual degree options. Just before I get into those, I just saw another question related to the MES degree, so I'm just going to jump back for a second. Can you take foundation courses outside of the MES program? No, so all foundation courses have to be taken within the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences. So this does include courses we have a sort of sister program in applied geosciences, so it does include those courses, and it includes some of the graduate courses taught in the wider department, but those foundation courses all have to be within the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences. So when you're looking at the course codes, they have to be EMVS or EESC. So for example, you couldn't take a foundation class in the engineering department or the biology department or the law school. They have to be within our department, because they are building a foundation in environmental studies. And if at any point I don't fully answer your question, please do jump in again in the chat and ask me to clarify anything. I'm happy to do that. So dual degree options. If the MES degree alone isn't enough, if you like this idea of pursuing a second graduate degree while studying in the MES program, then we have 10 dual degree programs that we run. The appeal of doing a dual degree rather than doing the 2 degrees separately is there is a reduced course load for both programs. You can see the dual degrees listed here. There are 9 on-campus options and 1 international option, which is a master's degree in international environmental management with a university in Paris that we work with. And I saw someone in the chat said they were interested in that, which is great. And so, for example, let's take our Master of Environmental Studies and our Master in Law program. To complete the Master Environmental Studies program, as you saw, is 12 courses. To complete the Master in Law degree is 9 courses. So if you were to complete those separately, you'd be taking 21 classes. In both programs, we can double count 3 courses from the other program. And this reduces your course load from 21 down to 15 courses for this dual degree. And so you can see the appeal of doing those 2 degrees together if you are interested in those. This dual degree page on our website, you can click on each of them and learn a lot more about each individual dual degree option. And again, if this is something you're interested in, you're welcome to reach out with further questions. You can apply to both programs before coming to Penn, or you could just apply to the MES program and then apply to the second degree program once you're here, but you do have to apply to both programs separately. And yes, a dual degree can also be taken part-time, and we work with the other program to figure out what that part-time schedule looks like. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a moment because there are some other questions in the Q&A box. I'm just going to pause and answer those as they're likely relevant to what we've been doing here so far. So the breakdown of students coming directly from undergrad versus work experience outside of university. age range of students, can I share a more detailed breakdown? Yes, I don't have those numbers at the top of my head. I can certainly go and look them up at the end of this presentation here. But at the moment, I would say we're about 50-50 with students coming straight from undergrad and students coming with some work experience. That work experience really ranges. It might just be sort of a few years, something less than 5. We do have people coming with 10 plus years of experience as well. And so most of our students fall within that sort of 22 to 30 age range, but we definitely do have students in their 30s, 40s, and 50s as part of our program. And I will, yeah, I can go back and look at stats if we have time towards the end if you want the specific numbers there. For those doing the International Environmental Management dual degree, would our academic advisors be the same as the ones we assigned coming into the program? So if you switch, when you come to Penn, you're assigned an academic advisor. If then within your first semester you decide to pursue this, any of these dual degree programs, you then are switched to me being your advisor. And that's because I have a relationship with the directors that run each of these other master's programs. And so I can work with them and with you to make sure that we figure everything out for your degree planning. So for the program in Paris, you, yes, would also be advised by one of my colleagues in the university in Paris when you are in that dual degree program. But I do remain your advisor for the duration as well. So anyone in a dual degree would be advised by me. Okay, if you enroll in a dual degree program, is the second program also a professional degree? Not necessarily. It depends on the type of masters that you pursue. So you would need to go and look at each of those master's programs individually. Many of them are, but you would then kind of get to see yeah, what type of degree program that is. And so again, if you go to the dual degree webpage here, then you'll be able to click on each of those and learn about the dual degree program. And yes, you can take any of these dual degree programs part-time. I think I mentioned before that we would work with the other degree program to figure out a plan of study for a part-time approach. In terms of the cost breakdown, so for most of these dual degree programs, you pay MES tuition for your MES classes. And so you'd be taking 9 courses within our program to fulfill your degree requirements. And so that would be 9 times our tuition rate. And then the tuition rate for the courses in the other degree program varies slightly depending on the degree program that it is. So it would depend on the specific dual degree you're interested in and how many courses are required for that program. So it will vary slightly. For example, the MBA program requires more courses than the Master in Law, and so the cost is going to vary accordingly. If we're interested in a dual degree program, do we need to apply to both at the same time or wait to apply to the second until you're enrolled in the first? You can do either. So let's say you want to pursue an MES degree with the Master of Public Health. You could apply to both our program and the MPH Master of Public Health program now in the same application cycle and hopefully get accepted to both and be in that dual degree program from day one. Or you could decide to apply to one of those programs initially, whether it's us or the MPH program. And then once you are in that program in your first semester, meet with your advisor, talk about the dual degree options, and then apply to the second program. Either way is completely fine. And we would adjust your degree planning based on maybe which you applied to first if you didn't apply to them at the same time. So when you go to our dual degree page and you click on each of these links, it gives you an example of a program of study for the dual degree options. And that might be based on either students starting the MES program first or starting the other program first. But those can be adapted based on which program you come into initially. So yeah, all that to say you can apply together if you're certain you want to pursue that route, or you can just apply to us here at MES, start the degree, and then within your first semester here with us, we can look at applying to the other program. I see a few more questions in the Q&A. Um, okay, I think I answered that one about when people apply to the dual degree. I would say most people apply once they're here, but some people definitely have started the program already admitted to both programs. So um, and then there are some questions about scholarships, financial aid. We don't actually here within LPS have any scholarships or financial aid that we are able to offer. Once you are here in the program, there are options to work on campus. For example, you could work as a TA for some of our undergrad courses here. Um, you could pursue opportunities to work with some of the different organisations and groups around campus, related to the degree or otherwise. But we don't actually have any financial aid and scholarships that we offer as part of the programme. And in terms of someone else has said about research funding, it would depend on your interests. So some of our students work with. Oh, thanks. Akila's just put a helpful link in the chat about tuition and financial aid. But yeah, some of our students do work with research groups here on campus, and so they may receive some funding to do that. But it really depends on who you're working with and your interests. And I would encourage you to click on that link that Akila shared if you have other questions about financial aid. Okay, this is great. And I love that you have so many questions. I'm going to go through the next few slides and then I'll kind of pause again and come back to the chat and see what has come in. So in addition to these dual degrees, there are also a number of options to pursue a certificate alongside your MES degree. So this is kind of a smaller version maybe of that dual degree. So let's say you don't necessarily want to pursue the Master in Law dual degree, but you're interested in environmental law and you want to demonstrate somehow your interest and your expertise in that, you might want to consider applying for the certificate in law, which is a 5-course certificate. We can double count 2 courses from your MES degree. So that means you'd only be taking an additional 3 courses on top of your regular MES degree, and you would then finish the program with a Masters of Environmental Studies and a certificate in law. And so these are examples of some of the certificates that our students are interested in and pursue while they're here. And again, these are things that you would apply to once you are in the program, and your academic advisor can talk to you about those. The certificate in energy management and policy is very popular with our students. Okay, so that's sort of an overview of the degree program and some things you can add on to the degree. I've mentioned a few times through this presentation the importance of professional skills and professional development throughout the program. And so I wanted just to give you a bit of an overview of some of the professional development opportunities that we provide. We have a professional development day every fall. It's coming up here in October. We have keynote speakers, workshops on different industries that students are interested in, a networking happy hour, and a chance to work on some of those professional skills with a workshop from our career services as well. We hold an alumni event every spring where we bring some of our alumni back to campus. The All Ivy Sustainability Career Fair is held at Columbia University every spring, normally around February time, and we hire some buses and take our students up to that. It's a fun day out and a great opportunity to meet a lot of industries in the environmental and sustainability space. And then we hold our own graduate research conference at the end of the spring semester every year. And this is where our graduating students present their capstone research in a poster format. So we have a big poster presentation session, and that event also includes some outside industries that come and have a table at that event, a keynote speaker, and some awards and fun things like that. Throughout the year, many departments at Penn have weekly seminars, including the Earth and Environmental Sciences department here. And there are also special conferences and events on campus, things such as Climate Week, which happens every fall in October, Energy Week, which happens in the spring, and so opportunities to get involved in those. As a program, I mentioned earlier we didn't have financial aid, but we do have a small amount of funds that can be used for your research and to present at conferences off campus. So these funds you could apply to help, say, for example, with your capstone research. If you wanted to go and present some of your work at a relevant conference, we can also use those funds to allow you to do that. We provide opportunities for you to pursue some certifications outside of the university. So I mentioned earlier on-campus certificates that you can pursue, such as the certificate in law or the certificate in energy management and policy. But we also provide opportunities for you to pursue professional certifications such as the LEED Green Associates associated with the building rankings, LCA life cycle assessment training, and there are sometimes others that we've included here as well. And as a program, we fund those as much as we can, so the cost to you as the student is typically very low to pursue those certifications. And we work with outside organisations to do that. And then there are a wide number of societies that you can join on campus as a student member in order to further your professional development. And those societies exist both here in the School of Arts and Sciences, but also in the business school, the law school, the design school, and more. So we encourage our students while they are here with us to pursue research or internship opportunities. It's not a required part of our program, but we strongly encourage you to do this. And those opportunities are available both on and off campus. And many of the organisations that I mentioned earlier in the presentation have had our students work with them in this capacity. We will support you as best we can by connecting you with industry practitioners, by connecting you with those organisations that we work with in the city, with our alumni, and we send out a weekly newsletter that advertises any internship or research opportunity that we're aware of that may be of interest to you. The career services at Penn are also excellent, and they have a dedicated team that work just with graduate students, with master's students as well. And the link to their website is on this slide here. There's also the opportunity to connect a research or internship experience to your capstone project. So if you're working, say, with the water centre here on campus on a really interesting project, there's the opportunity to tie that into your capstone project. Oops, went a little bit too far ahead there. Just a few notes for any of you who are on this webinar who might be international students. All of our concentrations are STEM, and that is important because it means that for paid work post-graduation, OPT or optional practical training is available for an extended time period. So if you do a graduate degree here in the US, you are entitled to apply for a year of OPT. If it is a STEM degree, which ours is, then you can do an additional 2 years beyond that. And many of our international students do take advantage of that. And then while you're here, during your degree, CPT, curricular practical training, is available after your second full-time semester. So if you start in the fall, it's available from the end of the spring semester. And that allows you to work off campus during your degree. So that allows you, for example, to pursue, say, a summer internship. I saw a question about the Fall Professional Development Day in October. It's in late October, but it's actually only open to current students because of the size of the rooms that we're able to use for that. So unfortunately, we can't open it up to prospective students, though I'd love to. But when you are in the programme, then you would be able to attend that in the October. Someone is saying that they work in a research lab. Could they complete their research with their current company that they can apply to their degree? Yes, so for students that work in a research lab, you couldn't take work that you'd done prior to the MES degree and then just sort of use that as your capstone. But you can certainly work with that research lab on your capstone project. And we've definitely had students do that before, where they maybe go back to a former supervisor or pick up on a project that they were left with a lot of unanswered questions and avenues to pursue, and develop their capstone project based on that work, or work with a former colleague or current colleague or supervisor. But the work must be completed while you are in the MES program, and it must be new work, as in something that you haven't already used for another project. But yes, students have definitely sort of taken that approach in the past. So before I start to wrap up here, just a few notes on community here, both in our program, MES, in the wider department, that's EES, Earth and Environmental Sciences, and within the College of Liberal and Professional Studies, LPS. So we have a monthly coffee hour here in our program that involves both our students and graduate students from the wider department. So that's the image on the top right there, a great chance to get together, and meet students in the program as well as graduate students within the wider department. Our department has a Wednesday lunchtime seminar, and our students are invited to attend that and to participate in that. We've had some of our students present at that in the past as well. The College of Liberal and Professional Studies has LPS Gov, which is the student government for LPS. We have 2 representatives from the MES programme on that government, and as MES students, you're also eligible to apply for the kind of senior positions in that student government as well. There are a whole host of clubs to join on campus related to environmental studies, and also the option to set up your own group or club. We had a group of students just this past year set up a new club at Penn called Wastewise, dedicated to addressing the problem of waste here on campus. They're running a few different initiatives at the moment, including providing the option for students to compost here on campus. So there's always the option to set up your own as well. So just a few kind of housekeeping details if you do decide to apply to our program, which I really hope you do. All of the details of how to apply, what you need, requirements, deadlines are on our webpage. And if you go to our webpage, you can then click on the link to application deadlines and requirements. And if you scroll down on that page, you'll see, importantly, the deadlines for that. So if you are hoping to join us in the spring, the deadline to apply if you're an international student is October 1st, and the deadline for domestic student is November 1st. The reason for the difference there is we want to allow international students enough time to get the visa that they might need to come and study here in the US. If you want to apply for the full semester, the deadlines are the same, whether you are international or domestics. We have a little bit more time to work with visas there. We have a priority application deadline on December 15th, and then our regular deadline is April 1st. And so after that priority application deadline, we look at all the applications that came in before that deadline, we review them, we put out offers, and then depending on the number of offers we give out, then we almost always still have a number of spaces available for people that apply to the regular deadline. But if you want to be guaranteed kind of your spot, then I do encourage you to apply for the priority application deadline if you're able. Within 3 weeks of these deadlines, you will hear whether you've been invited to an interview. Anyone who we're considering giving an offer to, we do interview. Those interviews are conducted via Zoom with one of our admissions team. And then typically you'll hear within a week, maximum 2, after that interview about a decision. Okay. I'm going to go to the questions in the chat in just a moment, but just the final thing to say is if you want to contact us, that email address there, and this is all on our website as well, sends an email to our team. That's myself, Eric and Ross, the administrative team. And so if you want to contact us, that's the best way to do so. And one of us will get to that. For any other queries, specifically anything about your application itself, you should email the broader MES info email, because applications are handled sort of centrally here within LPS. And when you're on our website, if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can see there that you can follow us on Instagram if you want to see what we're up to, but there are also buttons there to request further information or get to the application portal. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to go to some of the questions that have come through in the chat. So when do those accepted need to commit after being accepted? So for the full semester, for example, if you apply by the priority deadline, our acceptance deadline is April 15th. If you apply for the regular deadline, the acceptance deadline is June 15th. That was from last year. They may change slightly this year, but that's generally how they operate. And if you apply for the spring semester, the acceptance deadline is December 15th. For full-time students, it typically takes 2 years to complete the degree. So 4 semesters, some of our fall, spring, or spring, fall, depending on when you start. Some of our students do take classes in the summer and maybe load up one semester with 4 classes instead of 3, and they are then able to complete the degree in sort of a year and a half or a year and 2/3. But most students, it takes 2 years. Even if you can complete the coursework in a shorter amount of time, you typically need that extra time to finish the capstone project. Okay, and there's another question in the Q&A. The program admits students in both spring and fall. How the application works for these 2 terms? Can you apply to one term, both terms with one application? Do you need to submit the same application twice? If you apply for spring, would that prevent you from later applying to fall? Okay, great question. So yeah, the applications for when you apply, you'll be asked which term you're applying to, spring or fall. And if you apply to the spring term and are admitted to the spring term, and for whatever reason you decide not to come in the spring, you could apply then to come in the fall, but you would have to redo the application and repay the application fee. We can't defer your application from spring to fall. So we can probably go in and copy a lot of your information over, but you would need to reapply for the full term. And so I would say, yeah, try before you apply and think about which term you want to start in, particularly because we can't defer you from spring to fall. Okay. Can graduate level courses taken as a non-degree student be applied to the degree? Yes. So I'm not sure how you'd be taking graduate level courses if you weren't enrolled at Penn.
It might be through post-bac studies.
Post-bac. Thank you, Akila.
Or non-traditional graduate studies.
Thank you, Akila. Yes, so if you're in either of those programs that Akila mentioned, then yes, we can apply some of those courses to your degree program. And likewise, if you're coming from outside of Penn, maybe you started a graduate degree somewhere else, and you didn't complete it, we can apply some of those courses to your degree here at Penn. So from outside, we can apply 2 courses to your degree if they are relevant and taken at the graduate level and you received a passing grade. If you are in the postbac or other programs at Penn where you may have taken graduate level courses that are relevant to the MES degree, you can transfer up to 4 of those into the MES program. And if you have specific courses or specific questions that you'd like to ask about that, then I'm happy to answer those via email or via a Zoom call or something. But yes, you can definitely do that. Okay, I think that's all the questions I can see in the chat. We do have a few minutes left here, so if you have any other questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat or the Q&A box, or if you'd rather ask your question verbally, please just request for us to let you turn on your mic, and you can do that as well. So yeah, I'll stick around for a few minutes if there are other questions that are coming in, but I'm grateful you guys asked so many questions today. That's fantastic. Okay, examples of individualized concentrations that people have developed. Would it be possible to blend something like conservation and renewable energy? Yeah, for sure. So in the past, the individualized concentration, like I said, it's not very common because we do encourage students to look at our existing concentrations. But we have had students in the past come in and, perhaps their interest is really at the intersection of 2 of our existing concentrations, or it combines our existing concentration with something else, as you're describing here. And in those cases, then yes, we definitely would work with the student to produce a plan of study for an individualized concentration. So I worked with a student last year whose individualized concentration was in sustainable architecture. We have a student at the moment working on an individualized concentration on environmental education. So those would be some examples of the concentrations that people have pursued. We have another student that produced an individualized concentration on data analytics and sustainability. And so yes, conservation and renewable energy, we definitely would have courses to support that and would be a great example of where you might want to pursue an individualized concentration. What type of day are courses typically held? Are they in-person or virtual? All of our courses are held in the evening. Akila's just put a really helpful link in the chat there to a list of our courses. They're all held in the evening once a week from 5:15 till 8:15 p.m. And that is to accommodate many of our students who are part-time and work during the day, and also to accommodate many of our instructors who, as I said, are working industry professionals and practitioners. And almost all of our courses are in person. We have one course that is completely online, that is our GIS course, and we have one or two courses that are hybrid, but we really try to prioritize in-person courses. So most are in person, they're all in the evening. The one online class does still meet synchronously every week in the evening, and their hybrid courses, even on the weeks that they're online, would still meet at the same time. Um, Within that sort of concentration option where you can take classes around the university, there may be online courses that you would pursue that way, but most are in person. What do you recommend for current undergrads who want to submit a transcript that includes fall 2025 courses and are equally interested in applying for priority, but it's for the final grades, would be included on a transcript? It's a great question. So you can submit your so two things. One, you could submit your transcript, and I imagine it maybe would say the name of the course you're taking and just not have a grade yet. You could also maybe submit a letter or documentation from the course instructor, maybe saying what grade they might expect you to get in the class. You also, once your application is in, if it's in by the deadline, there is a grace period then of a week to get all your final documents in. So you would have that little bit of buffer time to then get an updated transcript to us. But yeah, you could also reach out directly to the LPS admissions team who handle all of the applications and the logistics of that. Their email address I'll put into the chat, or maybe Akila, would you be able to put the admissions email into the chat? I think it's just LPS-admissions. And that would also be a great question for them. But yeah, even if your transcript doesn't have all of the grades on yet, you could still submit it. Thanks, Akila. And just make a note maybe in your application somewhere that you're currently in those classes and what your expected grades might be. Can GIS classes at the design school be taken as a data analytics requirement? Yes, some of the GIS classes at the design school would be eligible to fulfill that requirement. We have a list of classes that do. However, we can't guarantee you a spot in those classes because they would be prioritizing their own students. We do have two GIS classes within our program that also fulfill that requirement. But yeah, some of our students have definitely taken the classes over in the design school as well. On the website, oh, sorry, I missed a question. Do you have any data on student employment post MES? Yes. Do you have a more specific question, maybe, Maya, or you're just kind of broadly interested in where students go post MES? Maybe you could type something in just to clarify that a bit, and I'll answer some of these other questions in the meantime. On the website, there's a list of MES primary courses. Are students expected to take all of these? Just the pro-seminar and the capstone? The others are just options. Yeah, so I'm just going to pull up the website while we're talking so I can speak specifically to those courses. The only required courses are the pro-seminar and the capstone. And then, as I said, everyone has to take a data analytics course. I'm trying to find the list of primary courses that you're referring to. If you want to tell me where on the website you see
It's
that,
most likely the courses list that I put in the chat. It brings you
Oh,
to a list of fall 2025 courses.
right.
And
Let me have a look.
some of them say primary, but I think they say primary because the primary department course is again.
Oh, yeah.
Primary to
Yes, yeah, I've got it. Yeah, thanks. So yes, I see the list you're referring to now. So no, you are definitely not expected to take all of those. Only pro-seminar and capstone are the required courses. The reason they're separated into primary and secondary is the primary courses are those that are courses developed specifically for our program. Secondary courses, for example, aqueous geochemistry, is a course developed for our master's degree in applied geosciences, but as an MES student, you're eligible to take it. So primary just means developed specifically for our program. Secondary would be courses within our department that are appropriate for our program, but they were initially developed for a different program. Hopefully that clarifies that question. Is it possible if you've graduated from geological sciences to still pursue the MES? Yes, definitely. Yeah, we have students who come from a more geological background and want to push more in the environmental studies direction. Yeah, that's definitely a background that many of our students have come from. Okay, so Maya, talking about the careers question, broadly interested in industries, job titles, geography and pay. Yeah, so the student stories are more specific. Yeah, I don't think we have anywhere on our website where we sort of broadly list the statistics. But I'm going to pull up while we're talking. I have a list of some of the careers that, for example, our graduates from last year went into. So give me 1 second and I'll pull up that list so I can tell you. So I will say, just so I'm pulling up this list, that because the MES degree is so broad, the types of jobs that our students go into is also very, very broad. And as such, the locations and the pay and everything are broad. Because we have a lot of international students, many of those students then maybe they work in the US for a year or two, but maybe go back home to work. And so in terms of geography, our students are all over the world. Students who are domestic, we do have a number that stay within the Philadelphia area or maybe kind of the tri-state area, New York and New Jersey. But it is quite varied. In terms of where some of our students went just this past year, some of the jobs that students obtained kind of following the 2025 graduation were a lot of people going into sustainability analytics and sustainability consulting and corporate sustainability roles. Students went into environmental consulting. We did have one student get a job as an environmental protection officer. A few students went into more sort of scientific roles, so project scientist for a larger company, project management work, again, sustainability specialists within the corporate world, people doing different analytical jobs related to environmental issues. We had someone go off to be a research coordinator. We did have a student be accepted into a PhD program. Some of our students go to work in conservation. Quite a number go to work for local city or state government. So working, for example, for city offices or working for, say, the Department of Environmental Protection within a state. In previous years, many of our students have gone to work for the federal government. I will say, understandably, that looks a little different right now. In addition, many of our students would maybe start at the local city or state level and then work their way up to there. And Akila has put another link in the chat as well to the Penn Career Services, where you can look by degree program. They obtain that information separately from us, so they do send out their own surveys, so they may have additional information there. Okay, examples of courses that students take as foundation courses. If you look at that list of primary courses that we were just talking about on the LPS website, those would be courses that students are taking as their foundation course because it has to be taken within our department. Okay, so thanks, Akila. We are past 11. I was enjoying reading and answering all of your questions. So if you please do feel free to leave if you don't have questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend today. I think the recording of today's session will be made available on the website if you want to go back to it at any point. I will stick around for another few minutes and answer any last minute questions that come in, but do feel free to reach out by email. If you're in the area, please do come visit us on campus, and we look forward to receiving your application. But thank you so much for your time today.